I stood in the doorway of what used to be my study, and the first thing I registered was the smell. Fresh paint, that sharp chemical edge of latex drying on walls that had been the same warm gray for 11 years. The afternoon light came through bare windows, my curtains were gone, and fell across a floor I didn't recognize. My desk was missing. The bookshelves I'd built myself, plank by plank, were stacked in pieces against the far wall like kindling. My filing cabinets, the ones that held 2 decades of research notes and correspondence, sat open and empty in the hallway. I heard footsteps behind me, casual and unhurried. "Looks better already, doesn't it?" Marcus said. He was 24, my wife's son from her first marriage. He stood there with a paint roller in one hand, phone in the other, not even looking at me. "Mom said you never use this room anyway. Figured I'd turn it into a proper creative space. You know, for my podcast setup." I didn't shout. I didn't move. My chest felt hollow, like someone had scooped out everything that used to live there. "Where are my things?" "Oh," he glanced up finally. "Most of it looked like old junk, so I had it hauled out this morning. Recycling truck came at 9. But hey, I saved your degrees. They're in a box somewhere." He turned back to his phone, thumbs moving. "You're welcome." My throat tightened, but my voice came out level. Quiet. "You threw away my files." "Dude, it was just paper. Relax." He dipped the roller back into the tray. "Besides, Mom's cool with it. This is her house too." I stood there for 3 more seconds. Then I turned and walked to the kitchen. Something inside me went quiet. Not broken, just quiet. Marcus had no idea what he'd set in motion. My name is David Brennan. I'm 52 years old, and until that Tuesday afternoon, I'd spent 19 years believing that accommodation was the same thing as strength. I worked at that point, as a compliance officer for a mid-sized manufacturing firm. My job is to notice what doesn't fit, what's been altered, what someone's trying to hide. At home, I'd trained myself not to notice. Jennifer and I had been married for 14 years. Her son Marcus moved in with us 6 years ago, after he dropped out of college the first time, then the second time, then stopped pretending he was going back. The marriage had been stable on the surface. We had routines, Friday dinners out, Sunday mornings with coffee and the newspaper spread across the kitchen table. But there were small things I'd learned to swallow. When I'd suggest we needed to talk about Marcus contributing to household expenses, Jennifer would sigh and say, "He's going through a transition, David. Not everyone follows your timeline." When I'd mentioned that the grocery bills had tripled since he moved in, she'd set down her mug a little too hard. "You make good money. What's the problem?" When I'd ask if we could have one evening a week that was just us, she'd look at me like I'd suggested something cruel. "He's my son. He needs support right now." I let it go. I let a lot go. I told myself it was temporary, that Marcus would find his footing, that Jennifer's defensiveness would soften once he did. I'd built that study myself, bought the lumber, measured twice, cut once, sanded and stained every shelf. It was the one room in the house that was mine. My books, my research, my silence. I should have seen it sooner. I should have recognized what it meant when Jennifer stopped asking what I was working on, when she stopped knocking before opening the door. But I didn't. And now I stood at the kitchen counter, looking at my phone, at the photos I'd just taken of the empty room, the discarded shelves, the paint-streaked drop cloth covering what used to be my reading chair. Jennifer came home an hour later. I heard her car in the driveway, the familiar rhythm of her keys against the door. She walked into the kitchen, set her purse on the counter, and smiled. "Marcus texted me about the study. I think it's going to look amazing. He's got a real eye for design, you know." I looked at her. Really looked. Her face was bright, expectant, like she was waiting for me to agree, to validate, to shrink. "He threw away 20 years of my work," I said. My voice was calm. It surprised me how calm it was. She waved a hand. "Oh, David, it was just old files. Paper. You never even went in there anymore." "I was in there yesterday." "Well, you can use the dining room table if you need to work on something. This way Marcus has a space that actually inspires him. He's been so depressed lately. She opened the refrigerator, pulled out a bottle of water, took a sip. Besides, it's not like you own the whole house. We're supposed to be a family. That word, family. The way she said it, like it was a box I was supposed to fit into, quietly, without asking what shape it was. Did you ask me? I said. She turned, bottle still in her hand. Ask you what? Before he destroyed my study, did you ask me if that was okay? Her expression shifted. Not guilt, irritation. Destroyed is a little dramatic, don't you think? He redecorated. And honestly, David, you've been so distant lately. Maybe if you engaged more with what's happening in this house, you'd have known about it. She adjusted the collar of her blouse, checked her phone. I'm going to change. Marcus is ordering Thai for dinner. You want your usual? I didn't answer. She left the room. I heard her footsteps on the stairs, the bedroom door closing. I stood there at the counter, my hands flat against the granite. My heart didn't race. It stopped. Just for a moment. Then it started again, slower, more deliberate. That was the moment something inside me went quiet. I didn't pack a bag that night. I didn't sleep in the guest room. I went upstairs, lay down next to Jennifer, and stared at the ceiling until the numbers on the clock read 5:47 a.m. Then I got up, showered, dressed, and drove to work. At lunch, I made 2 calls. The first was to an attorney I'd worked with on a corporate compliance case 3 years ago. Her name was Sarah Lim, and she didn't waste time on pleasantries. What do you need, David? She asked. A consultation, family law, today if possible. There was a pause. Okay, 4:30, my office. The second call was to my bank. I asked about separating joint accounts. The representative walked me through the process. I took notes on the back of a compliance checklist. Then I went back to my desk and returned to work. I didn't feel angry. I felt focused. That evening, I stopped at an office supply store and bought 3 accordion folders, a portable scanner, and a locking file box. At home, I waited until Jennifer and Marcus were watching a movie in the living room. Then I went to our bedroom and began the inventory. Bank statements from the joint account, credit card bills, mortgage documents, the deed to the house, which was in both our names. We'd refinanced 5 years ago using my credit score after hers tanked during a shopping spree phase she called investing in herself. I scanned everything. I uploaded copies to a cloud drive with a password she didn't know. I didn't rush. I was methodical, precise. At 11:13 p.m., Jennifer came upstairs. You coming to bed? In a minute, I said. She glanced at the folders spread across the comforter. What's all this? Just organizing some files. She shrugged. Didn't ask more. She never asked more. By the end of the week, I had everything I needed. Copies of every financial record for the past 5 years. Screenshots of text messages where Jennifer told Marcus he didn't need to worry about rent, that David handles all that. Photos of the study, before and after. An itemized list of my belongings that had been discarded, including first edition books, research materials, and a handwritten letter from my late father I'd kept in the desk drawer. Sarah Lim reviewed it all in her office on Friday afternoon. She sat across from me, reading glasses perched on her nose, and didn't say anything for a long time. Then she looked up. You've been documenting this without them knowing. I have. Good, keep doing that. She tapped the folder with one finger. Here's what we're going to do. Over the next 3 weeks, the system moved quietly. I opened a separate bank account and rerouted my direct deposit. I contacted the mortgage company and informed them I'd be disputing any future payment increases without my written approval. I changed the password on our shared investment account. Jennifer noticed that one. Why can't I log into the Fidelity account? She asked one evening, phone in hand, frowning at the screen. Security update, I said. They required new credentials. Well, send me the new password. I'll email it to you, I said. I didn't. 2 days later, my phone buzzed at work. A text from Jennifer. Then another. Then 5 more in a row. Why is my card declining? David, what did you do? This is financial abuse. You can't just cut me off. Call me right now. I took a screenshot of each message. Then I forwarded them to Sarah. She replied in under a minute. Perfect, don't respond. I didn't. That night, Marcus called. I was in my car, parked outside a Target, reviewing a work email. I let it ring twice before answering. Dude, what the hell? His voice was loud, hostile. My mom's freaking out. You froze her out of the accounts? I separated my income from joint access, I said. That's not illegal. It's messed up, man. She's your wife. She is. And when she wants to discuss household finances like adults, I'm available. But I'm not funding grown adults who destroy my property without asking. That's what this is about? The study? He laughed. It was sharp, mean. Bro, grow up, it's a room. It was my room, with my things, which you threw away. Oh my God, you're such a... He stopped himself. I could hear him breathing hard. You know what? My mom deserves better than you. She's been carrying this marriage for years. I checked the time on the dashboard. 6:18 p.m. Is there anything else, Marcus? He hung up. I sat there for a moment, engine off, listening to the silence. Then I started the car and drove to the grocery store. I bought food for one. At home, I ate dinner at the kitchen table while Jennifer and Marcus whispered in the living room. I washed my plate. I went upstairs. I worked. The calls kept coming. Jennifer's sister, her mother, a friend from her book club who I'd met twice. They all had the same script. What's going on with you and Jennifer? She's really upset. This doesn't seem like you. You should talk to her. I thanked them politely and said we were handling it privately. I didn't explain. Silence wasn't surrender. It was strategy. 3 weeks in, Sarah sent me a text. We're ready. Courthouse Monday, 9 a.m. Bring the folder. I confirmed. That Sunday night, I told Jennifer I needed to speak with her. She was on the couch, Marcus beside her, both of them on their phones. She looked up, wary. Can it wait? We're in the middle of something. No, I said. It can't. She sighed, stood, followed me into the kitchen. I closed the door. I've filed for divorce, I said. You'll be served tomorrow morning. Her face went blank, then red. You what? I filed for divorce. The papers will outline the division of assets, including the house. You can't do that. This is my house. It's our house, and the mortgage is in both names, so is the deed. But I've been making the payments from my account for 5 years. That's documented. She stepped closer. Her voice was shaking. You're doing this because of the study, because Marcus needed a space and you're too selfish to share. I'm doing this because you allowed your son to destroy my property, dismissed my work as junk, and when I objected, you told me I was being distant. I kept my voice even, measured. And because when I separated my income to protect myself, you called it abuse. That told me everything I needed to know. I didn't mean... She stopped. Her hands were trembling. David, we can fix this. We can go to counseling. Marcus will apologize. He already should have. You both should have. But you didn't. You escalated. You sent people to pressure me. You painted me as the villain for not financing a grown man who contributes nothing. Her eyes were wet now. Angry wet. So that's it? 14 years and you just walk away? No, I said. 14 years and you made it clear where I stand. I'm just acknowledging it. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Where will you go? I've rented a place. I'm moving my things this week. You already? She looked at me like she didn't know me. Who are you? I didn't answer that. I walked past her, opened the kitchen door, and went upstairs. I packed a suitcase with a week's worth of clothes. When I came back down, Marcus was standing in the hallway. You're really doing this? He said. I am. Over a room. Over respect, I said, and the absence of it. He stared at me. For the first time, he looked uncertain. Younger. My mom's crying. I know. And you don't care. I stopped at the door, suitcase in hand. I care, but caring doesn't mean staying in a place where I'm erased. I looked at him. Really looked. You're 24, Marcus. You had the chance to act like an adult, to apologize, to rebuild what you broke. You chose not to. That's on you. I left before he could respond. The courthouse on Monday was smaller than I expected. Sarah met me in the hallway outside the family law division. She had the folder under her arm, and her expression was calm, clinical. "They're here," she said. "Jennifer brought Marcus, and her attorney." "Okay." We walked into the conference room. Jennifer sat on the far side of the table, her attorney beside her. Marcus stood against the wall, arms crossed. When I entered, Jennifer's face went hard. Her attorney started. "Mr. Brennan, my client is willing to mediate an amicable separation if you're prepared to discuss terms reasonably." Sarah slid the folder across the table. "These are the terms: documented financial contributions, evidence of asset acquisition, records of unilateral decisions made without Mr. Brennan's knowledge or consent." Jennifer's attorney opened the folder. His expression shifted as he flipped through the pages. Bank statements, screenshots, photos. The itemized list of destroyed property, including estimated replacement costs. "You've been planning this," Jennifer said. Her voice was tight, brittle. "I've been documenting reality," I said. "There's a difference. This is vindictive. This is accurate." Her attorney cleared his throat. "Mrs. Brennan, I need a moment with you, privately." They stepped out. Marcus stayed. He looked at me across the table. "You're really going to take the house," he said. "I'm going to ensure a fair division. If that means the house is sold and assets split, yes." "She can't afford that." "Then she'll need to make adjustments, like I did when my study was destroyed and I was told to use the dining room table." He flinched. Jennifer came back in. Her attorney looked tired. "My client is prepared to negotiate a settlement that includes Mr. Brennan retaining 60% equity in the home, with the option to buy out Mrs. Brennan's share or sell." Sarah glanced at me. I nodded. "Agreed," Sarah said. "We'll draft the terms." Jennifer was staring at the table. Her hands were flat against the wood, fingers spread. She looked up at me, and for the first time I saw something other than anger. I saw fear. Real fear. "I didn't think you'd actually leave," she said quietly. I met her eyes. "I didn't think you'd let him throw away my life's work and call it redecorating." She looked away. I stood. Sarah gathered the folder. I walked to the door, and this time, I didn't look back. The apartment I rented was small: one bedroom, a galley kitchen, a living room with south-facing windows. The first morning I woke up there, I made coffee and stood at the window, watching the light come in clean and uninterrupted. The air smelled like nothing. No paint, no tension, just air. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt unburdened. Over the next month, I replaced what I could. I bought new bookshelves and assembled them slowly, carefully. I tracked down a few of the titles Marcus had discarded, used copies but readable. The research notes were gone. I accepted that. Some things can't be recovered. But I could build again. I was good at building. Jennifer signed the settlement in early December. The house sold in February. I took my share and bought a small place outside the city. 2 bedrooms. One of them is my study. I built the shelves myself. This time, I installed a lock on the door. Marcus sent me a message 3 months after the divorce was finalized. It said, "I didn't know you'd kept all that stuff in the study. Mom said it was just old papers. I'm sorry." I read it twice, then I replied, "Thank you for saying that. I didn't say it was okay, it wasn't." But I acknowledged the apology. People grow at different speeds. Some never do. I hope he does. Silence isn't surrender. Sometimes it's preparation. Sometimes it's the space you need to see clearly, to measure what you've tolerated, and to decide what you won't tolerate anymore. I didn't break anything. I stopped pretending. And in the space that pretending used to fill, I found something steady, something mine. If you had been in my place, would you have fought harder in the moment? Or would you have done what I did? Documented, prepared, and moved when you were ready. Tell me in the comments where you're listening from, whether it's a job site, a quiet office, a truck cab at the end of a long route. Your presence means more than you know. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe. Let's keep walking this road together.